The candlelight flickered in the grand halls of the Vatican, where whispers of conspiracy and betrayal curled through the air like smoke from a dying fire. At the center of it all stood a woman, a name spoken in hushed tones, a figure of beauty, cunning, and deadly charm. Was she a victim or a villain, a pawn or a player? Her name was Lucrezia Borgia. And history would remember her as one of the most infamous femme fatale of all time. This is her story. Lucrezia was born in 1480, into one of the most feared families in Renaissance Italy, the Borgias. Her father, Rodrigo Borgia, was a man of ambition, deceit, and power, and in 1492, he achieved the impossible. He became Pope Alexander VI. The world saw him as the head of the Catholic Church, but in truth, he was a king in all but name, ruling Rome with an iron fist and a silver tongue. And he would use his children as his greatest weapons. Lucrezia was raised to be a tool of her family's ambition. From a young age, she was trained in the arts of diplomacy, seduction, and survival. She was beautiful, golden-haired, and graceful, a perfect prize for the men who sought power through marriage. At just 13 years old, she was married off to a nobleman, Giovanni Sforza, but when the Borgias no longer needed him, her father and brother forced him to annul the marriage, claiming he was impotent. Humiliated and furious, Giovanni fled, spreading dark rumors that Lucrezia had been sleeping with her own father and brother, and so the legend of Lucrezia Borgia, the femme fatale, was born. The Borgias were known for their ruthless cunning, and their favorite weapon, poison. Rumors swirled through Rome that Lucrezia had a hollow ring filled with poison, a deadly trap for those who crossed her. Some whispered that she lured men into her arms only to kill them. No one knew what was true. But bodies kept piling up around her family. Her second husband, Alfonso of Aragon, was strangled in his own bed. Many believed her own brother, Cesare Borgia, had ordered the murder. Lucrezia wept publicly, but no one believed her sorrow was real. Was she a grieving wife, or a woman who had played a role in his death? No one could tell. By the time Lucrezia was 22, she had been married 3 times. Her final marriage to Alfonso d'Este, Duke of Ferrara, saved her from her family's destruction. When her father died in 1503, and her brother was hunted down and killed, Lucrezia was the only Borgia who survived. She reinvented herself, no longer a scandalous temptress, but a respected duchess and patron of the arts. She surrounded herself with poets, artists, and scholars. She ruled Ferrara with wisdom and grace, and yet, the dark whispers never left her name. Even as she died in 1519, at just 39 years old, many still believed she had been a murderess, a poisoner, a woman with blood on her hands. Was she a monster or a misunderstood woman trapped in a ruthless world? Was she a victim of her family, used and discarded like a pawn, or did she play the game just as well as the men around her? One thing is certain, Lucrezia Borgia survived where others perished. And in doing so, she became a legend.